So in 2024, the residential solar business is in a bit of a lull. So instead of looking at a new product on the market, let's discuss a different approach to business. I'm Chris Kroll, editor in chief of Solar Builder Magazine, and here to make the pitch today is Jason Higginson, head of marketing for North America for APsystems. So the main question I have is how APsystems' current product offering actively helps installers struggling to earn business right now. Before we get to that meat of the question, I'm just curious what you're hearing from installers these days. Is it as tough out there as I'm kind of led to believe?
Installers are definitely struggling. They face a ton of challenges, and that's part of the challenge. Is no one's focusing on installers. So many manufacturers, for example, they get great deals with distributors, and they push product, and they give them a better deal. And these distributors are often sitting on a bunch of product that they push to installers, which may or may not be helping them in their daily work life and in their solar installation business. On the flip side, some manufacturers focus almost exclusively on the end user. There are several inverter brands in the market that really do that. They promote their brand and their marketing to the end user so that those brands are being asked for by name. And then the installer is forced to use their product, even though it may mean less margin, or it may mean a tougher install, or a limited option on choice of equipment. If you are actually focusing on the solar installation business, which is the backbone of our industry, which really is facing a variety of struggles at the moment.
Yeah, and I was hoping you could just point out some of these specific challenges that we're talking about.
So the solar installers, I mean, their business challenges are just myriad. They face a lot of fierce competition out there in the market. They struggle with profitability. They have to pay for labor. There's also the challenge in finding quality labor. Then they have their sales arm. They're trying to generate leads for their business, and not everyone has the staff that can, make calls or go door to door. They also have some finicky customers, let's be honest. They're also struggling to make a name for themselves, to promote their brand out there, marketing, social media. And many of the residential installers that feel comfortable with that are also looking to push into commercial solar, and they may find that also challenging or intimidating.
Yeah, I think that sums up things pretty nicely. And thinking of APsystems, you are, primarily a microinverter, manufacturer. What role do you play in kind of like alleviating this list of challenges?
We take these things to heart. So in trying to be the installer's microinverter, what can we do about any of that? And so we help our installers to be more competitive. And we've talked about that on a previous episode of the pitch on how our DS3 product does that to help them be more competitive in terms of value and installation and labor savings, et cetera. We help them increase their margins. That's also something that we cover in that. We reduce their labor costs. We send them leads. That's another big one. We have an installer locator tool, which is pretty slick. We talk about our installers when they do an install, and they send us pictures or video. We talk about them online in our articles, in our newsletters. We have an installation awards that we promote their installations, talk about them on social media. So we're trying to help be an extension of their marketing arm. And we're also helping them transition into commercial solar to try to make that as simple as easy with or simple as possible with a plug and play 3-phase product.
You mentioned the previous pitch that we did, kind of looking at the DS3 high power multi-module microinverter. So instead of one microinverter per module, each DS3 handles up to 4 high wattage modules. Okay, so there are a few ways to look at that, but let's get the easy one out of the way first. Cost, right? If you're installing one microinverter for every 4 panels versus every one, that's less product, less cost. Is that what we're talking about? Is that significant enough to make a difference for the customers that I'm pitching or to my own bottom line? Or is there like more you want to kind of elaborate on there?
Well, we primarily focus on it because we manufacture a product. So the first thing we look at is how can our technology help, just by the nature of it being a multi-module, just, 2-in-1 or a 4-in-1. Like that's definitely going to help on, being a faster installation. But we wanted to lead the industry in terms of inverter technology and advancements in communication, power output, in all these other ways in which our product could lead the industry. Literally 2/3 of our company is in engineering and R&D. But in terms of technology, we don't necessarily just want to focus on product. We wanted to also improve the ways in which we could address some of these installer pain points throughout the installation process, but also to add flexibility in that technology. For example, we developed a relatively battery agnostic inverter. So it's a battery inverter that charges and discharges the battery in an energy storage solution. So that way installers weren't just tied into one brand or type of battery. And it also comes at a tremendous value, to offer an energy storage solution. They're not having to, quote this really high cost solution for this, this homeowner, which may decide to go in a different direction. And then we also increased our US technical support team by 60% over the past 9 months, really to make it easier for installers to reach someone, get a response, get resolution on their issue.
That's a pretty big deal. I mean, I know when I was at the NABCEP conference, that was like one of the main, just gripes I heard of just how hard it is to get a hold of, manufacturer support when you need it. And that drags down customer service on their customers' end too, So that's, that's a good note. And I was wondering, is there any more things like that do you want to point to that you feel like are impacting solar installer operations or profitability?
One thing that we're trying to do is continue to build onto this idea of technology flexibility. It really started with, we had our YC600 and QS1, both single phase products, and we were introducing the DS3. We wanted to make sure that there was backward compatibility. So we built that into our product, which isn't always considered when you put a new product out there. We also carried that over into our energy storage solution by, making sure that is agnostic. So regardless of who you have on your roof, regardless of what kind of battery you're interested in, we wanted to make sure our product can work with all of those, leading energy storage companies. In some cases, they can install in 30 minutes, whereas an inverter company that provides an energy storage solution where it's kind of an add-on and it's a third party, may take 6-7 hours to put in. So it doesn't necessarily help the installer. It eats up their margin when they're spending all this money on labor to get this new solution put in. So we likewise provide a branded solution, and it goes in quickly, but we wanted to add that flexibility of choice. I guess in terms of that solar installer operations over time and the benefits there, like when they commit to our platform that has that built-in flexibility, that has the improved margins, etc. We also talked about how installers can save on the PV module cost as well, because they're using larger panels, but they're using fewer of them, and they come in at an overall savings of $500 to $2,000 per install with on the module savings. But you add all of that up with these installers that commit to that and use that as a leverage tool over time to improve their business.
I would think, part of what we're talking about here is a benefit to a solar installer's customer is that installer staying in business, right? There's too many, not to joke about it, but installers are going out of business is a huge problem in the industry for a variety of reasons. The business itself, the customer's left on the hook with a system that's orphaned. So by getting yourself operationally set up for success and having margins that keep your business afloat during good and bad times, benefits customers, right? You mentioned storage there for a second. Is it fair that pitching a future-proof PV system to add storage later, which is seeing some success in the market, makes more sense with an agnostic system, because then by the time that customer is ready to add storage, you know, like they're not beholden to just that one battery brand. Maybe they can shop around a little bit and then, you know, provide something that makes sense for what that customer actually wants in this future time.
I think you hit on a good point. Is there are some that, you know, they put in solar, and it's funny, we see this all the time in the industry. Is everybody wants energy storage quoted. So there's a lot of installers out there that are putting out energy storage quotes, and then they see the price tag. The homeowner sees the price tag and it's like, we're going to wait on energy storage, but let's put in the solar. So having that future proof, like we're constantly adding to our list of compatible batteries. Right now, it's set at over 20 industry leading batteries for our energy storage solution on our compatibility list. And yeah, we continue to add more names to that. So at any given time when the homeowner is ready to add energy storage, that they'll have a variety to choose from, including our own private label solution.
As we kind of wrap up, I was hoping we could put some numbers to all this, maybe crunch those numbers, and close out with maybe a realistic scenario based off of actual examples you have from customers who have, you know, done what we've discussed today. If we could game it out in terms of like margin gains, profitability projections, added jobs due to either more time or, you know, having more jobs won in general, maybe an extra C&I job, you know, show me the money in some way, Jason, as to how like you really think what we've talked about today kind of sets up a solar installer to succeed more in today's market.
So I've shared my screen so you can see kind of a direct comparison to be able to show some of those numbers. So what I've endeavored to do is kind of take some and really ballpark pricing. Your pricing for either of these as an installer may be more, it may be less, but just to give you a general idea, these are equivalent systems. So basically these, and this is really just inverters and kind of the inverter BOS, they are the same output essentially. So as you can see down here, total AC power output, 7680. It's kind of that voltage that we talked about previously, but for Enphase, they come close to it with their IQ Plus. It's 7540. But again, we're really trying to maximize what the power we're putting out on that on each of those breakers. So, and this is essentially two circuits, 220 amp circuits for both us and for Enphase. Cost of the gateway, cost of a combiner box of breakers, and so the price per watt in terms of DC for the same output of the system is roughly half of what it costs for Enphase. We also look at PV module costs. With the APsystems system, it's essentially you're using the larger panels and fewer of them. So that comes out to 7,000 versus 7,800 again, depending on your PV module cost as an installer. This may be more, it may be less. I'm hoping that it's less for you. The racking costs fairly equivalent here. We're estimating $2,500 for racking. Your soft costs that are about 60% of your overall costs as an installer are here. That includes the design, permitting, labor, etc. The labor is just slightly expensive for Enphase just because our product is a 2-to-1 and it goes in faster. So it's not a huge savings because really the inverters are one of the fastest things to put in, but still it's just a slight bump with APsystems. So when you look at your overall cost of goods, you're around 26.8 for APsystems, and you're a little over 30 for Enphase. So when you look at the installer margin here, you have the option here to have your total system cost be lower if you want it to be competitive. If you want this to be the same price as what you would charge for Enphase, then your total margin can absolutely go up. So you could have a much larger margin if you want to have this be, say, 25%. And then you can total this and see how that comes out. So you can have a 25% margin, 6,700 versus 4,600. So
This is what I'm talking about when I say you can make more margin with and be more competitive. Option number one, you beat the other guy's quote by a significant amount. You still make the margin that you targeted. Option two, you can make more margin by having this, be a more equivalent total. This 3,500, and then your margin here comes out to probably closer to 30% margin. You're charging them the same amount you would for an end phase system, but you're making twice as much margin on the job. And option three, you do what I indicated here. You increase your price, but you still stay competitive, stay under their amount, and you're still making more margin than you would with an end phase system. So this is one of the ways in which APsystems, just kind of from the ground up, is trying to help those installers be more competitive with the product.
Thank you for doing that. Sometimes it's hard to actually get someone to commit to showing here's how it actually would, here's our scenario, how it would map out. So, that makes for a compelling pitch, I would say, Jason. So thanks for taking the time to stop it by and make the pitch again today.
Yeah, thanks again. It's my pleasure to absolutely be on here.